Good evening and welcome to your 2012 presidential election. This is the Beaver News live coverage. (2012) presidential election. For the next half hour, we will be bringing you up-to-date information for the national election and an in-depth look at what this election means for all of us right here in Corvallis, Oregon. In addition to tonight's coverage, we'll be speaking with representatives from the College of Democrats, Claire Osland, and the president of the OSU College of Republicans, Jacob Vanderveer, to gain a better understanding of the impact their respective candidates have on the OSU community. Throughout the show, we'll be talking with students to see whom they're voting for and why. Did students vote for Obama or Romney this election, or did some students even vote at all? Later this evening, we will also be sitting down with editor-in-chief of the Daily Barometer, Don Eiler, to discuss the Daily Barometer's role in this year's election and how their political endorsement is affecting how students are voting. Finally, a reporter will be joining us live in the field for an up-to-date coverage of the election night here at a local level. The congressional spot for District 4 is up for re-election. Will Peter DeFazio reclaim the seat, or will Republican candidate Art Robinson take the spot? We'll have more on that tonight. Well, let's start with the campaigns. This year marks one of the closest elections we've seen in the past few decades. The candidates combined have raised just over $1.021 billion in campaign funds. Much of this has gone towards funding, advertising, and campaigns in swing states, most notably the state of Florida. According to CNN, the Obama campaign has spent just over $66.5 million, while the Romney campaign has spent nearly $33 million, making Florida one of the most sought-after states in the country. Ohio came in second with a combined expense of $81.3 million. In total, the Romney and Obama campaigns have spent $139 million and just over $320 million, respectively. Tonight, these big numbers will pay off for one of our candidates, but this was undoubtedly one of the most expensive election years ever. Now let's focus down on the local elections here at the state level. Oregon is divided into 5 congressional districts. The congressmen of Oregon include Peter DeFazio, Greg Walden, Kurt Schrader, Earl Blumenauer, and Suzanne Bonamici. Of the representatives in Oregon, only one is Republican, Greg Walden, and the other 4 are Democratic. Unlike the Senate, all congressional candidates are up for re-election every 2 years. The midterm election in 2010 meant big changes for Obama administration, since the House went from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. Tonight we will see if the House will remain red or change to blue. Now we're going to see what the students think of this year's election. The Beaver News team went out into the field to see what the student consensus was.
I have not voted yet, but I plan on it.
I have not voted.
No, not this year.
I just turned in my ballot.
I'm looking into it a little more, but I think I will be voting for Barack Obama. His values and policies just similar, I guess, are similar to my views. So.
All right, so I would say that I'm voting for Obama for the presidential candidate because I really like basically a lot of the stuff that has progressed through the last 4 years of him being president, because a lot of people will say that, oh, you know, tax cuts, blah, 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 like bad things are happening, but realistically, I mean, a lot of really good things are happening, and if you just focus on the negative, I don't think you're going to get anywhere. So focus on the positive. Obama's been doing a lot of great things, and I believe that he'll keep doing great things.
Leaning towards re-electing the incumbent, simply because 4 years is a very short amount of time for anyone to get anything done. If we really want to see what a president can do, give him the second term.
I voted democratically for the most part. Barack Obama, I definitely like him a lot more than Romney. I do like what Romney's stance is on paying back our national debt. However, it's not really the best idea to kind of pay it back over the long term. He's definitely looking at more of like an eight-year plan to pay back our national debt, where we need to make sure that we can keep our economy afloat immediately as well.
I would like to see maybe increase in student loans, grants, sort of things to make college cheaper, more affordable. I'd like to see more environmental initiatives, maybe less offshore drilling, that sort of thing.
More like funding going towards education within the schools, not just like college campuses, obviously just like schools in general, just because I feel like historically anytime you've had that, a lot of good things have happened with more education, more opportunity, not just for a particular like group of people, but for anybody.
I would like for the university system, the education system, to be able to be financially secure and independent enough to be able to fund a little bit underrepresented programs, the arts. Like Oregon State, the music department at Oregon State has been developing a wide array of great concert groups, and the best place that OSU, or that they have to perform, is the LaSalle Stewart Center, which is built as basically a gigantic lecture hall, not necessarily for the acoustics of music. But I'm not exactly sure what the numbers are here, but funding the production of an actual performing arts center would be an absolutely amazing addition, and bring more students into the amazing music program that we're developing.
I would definitely like to see some more revenue being focused more towards schools, as the education that the incoming freshmen to college really need to come up. They don't know nearly as much as they need in order to survive in college.
During our break, we received an update. According to CNN's poll, the House is projected to remain controlled by the Republican Party. The Senate will remain with the Democrats. Also, according to Politico, the presidential election poll, we have President Obama coming in with 148 electoral points and Governor Romney with 159 points. But tonight I am joined by student Democrats and Republicans. To my right, we have College of Republican Jacob Vanderveer. And to my left, we have College of Democrats Claire Osland. Claire, Jacob, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So Claire, let's start with you. Tell me about your position in the OSU community.
Well, I'm the president of the College Democrats at Oregon State this year, and I've been involved with that club since 2008, which was obviously an exciting election as well.
Mm-hmm. And Jacob?
My name's Jacob Beaver, and I'm the president of the Oregon State College Republicans. I joined my freshman year, which would have been 2010, so got involved there during the midterm elections, and now I'm president during the presidential election.
Excellent. And what is your organization, what does College of Republicans do on campus?
Yeah, so we do a number of different things. Obviously, during the campaign, we work a lot with local candidates. We work with the Benton County Republicans on things. We'll also host events. This winter, we'll be doing First Amendment Week. We did that for the first time last year, and we'll have a giant free speech sign where people can come up, write whatever they want. We're hoping the College Democrats will have a debate with us again. In spring, we'll do Second Amendment Week, which is kind of the big event we're known for. We'll have concealed handgun training classes, and we'll probably raffle off some sort of firearm. We also go to conventions, get together and have barbecues, fun stuff like that. Every meeting, we get together, have a political update and a debate. So.
That sounds pretty great. And what do the College of Democrats do?
Well, we do a lot of the same things. Our primary job this term has been connecting people with political campaigns who want to volunteer more, since we are all full-time students and have a lot of other obligations. Mm-hmm. We're planning a couple lectures on rhetoric and a trip to the Capitol coming up soon, and we really want to just get new members and have new ideas and new energy. So, big plans. Excellent.
Well, Claire, let's start with you. What makes Obama best for the president?
Well, I think if you believe in real human values and real family values, and you think that healthcare and food are not entitlements, but that they are basic human rights in this country, I think that that's going to be your main issue voting for Obama is definitely values. At this point, whoever gets elected is going to look like a genius, because there's definitely going to be tons of job growth over the next few years. So it comes down to values and where your ideology stands. And if you believe that the LGBT community deserves equal rights and that women deserve rights, and that we should support our veterans and people who are retired in this country, then you should definitely be voting for Obama.
Okay, and Jacob, your response, why should we be looking towards Romney?
Yeah, well, I think Mitt Romney is a proven leader both in the public and the private sector. You know, he was able to achieve a lot of bipartisan solutions when he was governor of Massachusetts, working with a more Democratic legislator. When Mitt Romney was governor, they had some of the best schools in the nation, getting some of the best test scores. And yeah, I think the big thing to support Mitt Romney is he's a businessman that understands how to create jobs. And we really do need to simplify our tax code, make sure that people are benefiting from the tax code, not because they have friends in Washington, but because their businesses are producing things that our society would like them to see produce.
Mm-hmm. And so we're getting really close to the final moment of election time, and the campaigns are really starting to focus down on a few key states. These states include Nevada, Colorado, Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio, Massachusetts, Virginia, West Virginia, and Florida. Why are we focusing on these states?
Well, the battleground states are more likely to have a close poll. Obviously, Oregon and New York traditionally go Democrat, and so there are a lot of states that are considered a sure thing, whereas Ohio and Florida are always really close races, and those electoral votes really count, and they can completely and totally swing an election if two go for one candidate or the other.
Okay.
You're talking 20 to 30 points.
Okay. And what has Obama done in these swing states? What kind of campaign has he run there?
Well, the swing states always get a lot of attention, and people, I don't know specifically what Obama has done, but they always go and try to reach things on a local level and make sure that people know that they'll be getting something for their vote. And what those specific issues are in Ohio, I don't know. I'd have to go there and ask myself.
Right. And what has Romney done? Has Romney done something different?
I know specifically, I've personally made quite a few calls to Ohio. My dad's probably going to get a pretty outrageous phone bill with a bunch of long-distance calls to Ohio. But I know, a lot of money, a lot of TV ads have been going in these swing states. We actually had a number of our people bust down to Nevada to go knock on doors and help on campaigns
Really?
there. Yeah. No,
wow.
I wish I could have gone, but I've got a lot of obligations up here.
Right.
Yeah, so phone calls, ads, busting people in to go volunteer door to door. Ground game is really the way you win an election.
Okay. Okay. And what does a Republican win tonight mean for OSU?
I think the most important thing is, right now for OSU, people are graduating, and it's a terrible job market out there. People are graduating on average with $25,000 worth of loans, and the economy's not where it needs to be. People are struggling, and I think Mitt Romney can provide the kickstart that our economy needs right now.
And President Obama is already in office, but what does another 4 years of Obama mean?
I think with Obama, we're going to see continued job growth. I think expected somewhere in the numbers of 12 million new jobs. He's also worked really hard to keep student loan repayment interest down to 10% of your income. So that is considering you get a job. He's done a lot to make sure that coming out of school, that you don't have mountains of debt piling up. And I think long-term environmental stability and energy independence, and he's a much better figure for our international presence in the world, because it is a pivotal time and there are a lot of issues abroad. And I think he represents, again, real values for women, real values for the LGBT community, and for the environment.
Well, excellent. You sound like it's going to be a really close decision between these two candidates. Thank you both for joining me tonight. In preparation with our interview with Don Eiler, we're going to roll an interview clip between Don Eiler and congressional candidate Peter DeFazio.
Continuing funding for Pell Grants, and perhaps putting more money into funding for Pell Grants for higher education.
Well, unlike my opponent who answered a question a year or 2 years ago that he would end all federal financial aid, all Pell Grants and loans, I am a strong supporter of the National Direct Student Loan Program. Unlike Governor Romney, I don't want to go back to bank loans. Bank loans are higher interest. They're totally inflexible in terms of your repayment terms. We threw the banks out after Wall Street collapsed. They were weak. We could do that. And with the money we saved by stopping the subsidies of the banks to give students higher interest rate loans, we put another $60 billion into Pell Grants. The Democrats did this in 2007. Now the Republicans want to undo it. Romney has said he wants to go back to subsidizing banks to make higher interest loans with no forgiveness allowable and no flexibility. That actually costs the taxpayers more money. We have a great study. For every dollar we give to a bank for a subsidized loan, the taxpayers get back 83 cents. That's pretty stupid, because for every dollar we give to students with a National Direct Student Loan, the government gets back $1.03. The students pay lower interest rates. They can work the loans off, and they will never ever have to repay more than 15% of their income for that loan, no matter how big the loan is. Like I said, my opponent wants to eliminate student financial aid altogether, and now he's remaking himself, saying, "Oh, he didn't mean that," although he did answer a questionnaire that way. Romney wants to do away with the national direct student loans and the Pell Grants. I'm fighting to defend them, and I give back congressional pay raises as scholarships at community colleges in my district. So I'm personally committed to this. I'm committed on a policy basis. I borrowed a bunch of money to go to school. I know how tough it is, and I'm going to do the best I can by the current students to not weigh them down with that debt.
You voted against the Domestic Violence Against Women Act. Why'd you do that?
You know, I'm all for restricting domestic, you know, I've voted for strong bills to restrict domestic violence against women. I can't remember. It was another one of these Republican tricks where they put a name on something that really did something else, and I don't remember what the problem with that was. And we have about 1,000 votes a year. You know, I have voted for the Domestic Act, Violence Against Women Act in the past. The Senate passed a version that was not controversial. The House Republicans put the label on it, and then they did some things in there that were really egregious, which I can't remember at the moment.
Joining us now is Don Eiler, Editor-in-Chief of the Daily Barometer. Don, thank you for joining us tonight.
No problem.
Okay, so Don, we've seen a lot of specifically Democratic ads in the Daily Barometer recently. Can you explain why we haven't seen as many for Romney?
Well, the Romney campaign didn't give us any money for him, so I'm I'm just saying that people paid for ads. We ran the ads that were paid for, and those are the ads that got run. So, I mean, if had the Romney campaign or the Republican Party paid for ads in our newspaper, we would have ran them, but that didn't happen. So.
We hear a lot in student media about that we are the conduit to the unheard student voice. How do you feel that the Barometer's Obama administration endorsement has silenced conservative students' voices?
I mean, I don't think it really has. I mean, I think it's a pretty standard newspaper practice to endorse a candidate, whether it's Republican or Democrat. We decided to endorse Obama because we felt he was the better of the two candidates, and I'd say that Obama's record on how he's dealt with students and championed students' issues over the last few years makes him the better candidate of the two.
So how many students do you feel the Barometer reaches?
I mean, we print 8,000 papers every day. Of those 8,000 papers, each one of those might get read by 2 or 3 more people. We reach around 4,000 people a day on our website. So, I mean, I don't know. We're reaching at least half the campus every day with our newspaper and our website, at least, if not more than that. Because, I mean, people pick up a paper and then leave it in their class, and then they'll pick it up again. So.
Right. And do you feel like this the choice to endorse Obama has affected your readership? What kind of comments have you been receiving?
I mean, we received a couple of emails from people saying that they weren't happy with our endorsement, but I mean, we also received a couple of emails about our Tea Party libertarian columnists' columns. We received far more comments about that than we received about our Obama endorsement. So, I mean.
Is that because Corvallis, especially the OSU community, is more liberal in nature?
I mean, it is a college campus, and college campuses do tend to be a bit more liberal than other parts of the state. But I mean, Oregon, for all of its voting for Obama and leaning a bit more blue than red, then it's still. I mean, Karl Rove said that Oregon is an enigma. So, I mean, sometimes we vote Republican, sometimes we vote Democrat. I think it's mostly just whatever candidate tends to line up with Oregon's values and our way of viewing the world, which, I mean, we tend to be a little libertarian and say things like gun law, gun regulations, and, you know, free speech and things like that. But at the same time, we also tend to do other things like we tend to elect liberal candidates. We also tend to respect the environment, but at the same time, we still allow logging in our state. So, I mean, it's just a toss-up from a lot of different things, and there's also an incredible urban-rural divide in Oregon politics in general. So,
being that the I-5 corridor is liberal, but most of the rest of the state is conservative, how do you feel that affects the turnout this year?
I mean, I don't think it affects it any more than it would any other year. I mean, the urban-rural divide between, say, the Willamette Valley and the rest of the state has been going on for decades, and I mean, being one who grew up east of the Cascades, I understand that there's just a huge difference between what goes on the other side of the mountains and what goes on here and in the valley. And it's just different. I mean, people just have a different way of viewing things and a different way of looking at the world. And the Willamette Valley, I mean, people live in an urban area here. They live in an urban environment, and they have different ideas and interact with different people than you're going to interact with in Bend or Prineville or LeGrand or wherever. So it's just a different world. And I mean, we're not the only state that has this sort of urban-rural divide. So it's just that 70% of our population does live in a suburb of Portland or in the Willamette Valley.
Right.
So,
What makes it really contrasting.
yeah.
So what do you expect to see changes in the next 4 years? Do you expect to see any changes at all? What do you hope to see?
As far as Oregon goes, I'd like to see some better. I mean, I'd like to see some sort of resolution to the sort of impasse on timber payments to rural counties in the next 4 years. And I think both parties have come up with some decent ideas, like Representative Walden and Peter DeFazio both come up with a bipartisan plan to sort of look at that sort of thing. And I'd like, because I mean, the timber payments it's been an issue that's been going on for 10 years, and it keeps getting extended every year. And like rural counties, it doesn't affect like a place like Corvallis or Benton County very much, but it will affect a place like Coos County or Wallowa County or another rural county in the state a lot more. So it's I like to see some sort of resolution on that as far as the local issue goes is for the state that at the federal level.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Don. Now we're going to run a clip from your interview with congressional candidate Art Robinson.
Students has gone up almost as much as healthcare has. What do you think should be done?
Well, boy, do I know. I went to Caltech, which was one of the more expensive places in the country, and when I went to school, tuition, room, board at Caltech was $2,000 a year. And most students could work their way through school if they didn't have the money. And of course, I know what you face today. I think that the expenditures on these campuses have gone too high, for one thing. So two things. One, I think the schools are living far higher than they used to. I think the wages are too high, and the faculty administrators are spending too much. And secondly, I think one of the reasons that they're allowed to do this is as a source of money, which looks good. I mean, you think I get elected to office saying I didn't care for student loans, you get the idea, and that's why I'm putting some words in it. But when somebody steps up and says, hey, don't worry about these high costs, we're spending money like water here at the university, but that's okay, we're going to loan you what you need. You get out of school with an incredible debt. And debt is death to, I mean, it's the worst possible thing you can do to a young person. So I think we should get the costs in the universities down consistent with what the students are able to pay without debt. And we ran our universities for at least a century at costs that students could work their way through school. I don't like the idea that students leave with debt, even though a loan seems like a benefit. It's not. It is a reflection of too high costs that are enslaving the student to debt.
And now we're going to go with reporter Christy Wright, who is covering a live story at the OSU Valley Library. Christy, what have you got for us?
Hi, Hayden. I'm outside of the Valley Library, and I've asked many students who they think are going to win the election. I have about 60% of the students that are highly confident that Obama's going to win, and I have the other 40% believing that Mitt Romney's going to win, but they don't seem quite as confident that he's actually going to pull out a win today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, today, earlier, there were people outside of the library encouraging and reminding students, but right now I'm just seeing a lot of students turning in their last-minute ballots, and hopefully everyone has voted.
So are these voters confident in their candidates' chances?
It seems like the students who voted for Obama are definitely way more confident than the students who voted for Romney. I feel like that they voted for Romney, but they still believe that Obama is actually going to end up winning.
And are you seeing a lot of last-minute voters?
Yeah, there's quite a bit running in. I actually see one running in right now. Yep, quite a bit right now.
All right, thank you, Christy. That
Great,
was
thank you,
Christy
Hayden.
Wright with a report from the OSU Valley Library. Now, back to our election recap. According to Political, Mitt Romney has 171 electoral votes, while Barack Obama has 148. The Senate still looks like it will go to the Democrats, and the House will stay within the GOP. Ohio and Florida polls have yet to close, and it will be a close election tonight, waiting for the last-minute voters. Well, that's all the news we have for you tonight. I'm Hayden Wilcox. We're glad you could join us this evening. Be sure to join us tomorrow night for your Wednesday night edition of the Beaver News. Have a good night.